The FIFA World Cup is a colossal global affair of the stadiums that remain. In this discussion, we will delve into the concerning destiny of World Cup venues in Russia, Brazil, and South Africa. Additionally, we will analyze Qatar's strategy for addressing this issue and uncover the reasons behind its decision to commence the dismantling of one of its stadiums. Qatar has expended an enormous amount of effort and resources in the last 10 years to construct a complete infrastructure for the World Cup. This includes cutting-edge stadiums, advanced training facilities, and improved transportation connections. The total expenditure surpassed $200 billion, an astronomical sum that surpasses the spending of any previous host. The main reason behind this immense spending is that Qatar had to build the majority of the infrastructure from scratch. In comparison, Russia spent around $16 billion 4 years prior, while Brazil spent $20 billion in 2014. Even the expenditure of $20 billion is substantial, especially when considering that the entire event lasts less than a month. Aside from the global attention it garners, countries hosting the World Cup hope that the infrastructure will bring long-term benefits. The transportation links have the potential to revitalize previously neglected areas, while the stadiums could generate revenue by hosting concerts and other events. This ambitious vision entails lively venues that continue to thrive even after the original purpose of the World Cup fades away. However, history shows that this outcome is not always the case when examining the track record of past World Cup stadiums. Qatar has different plans in mind, which we will delve into later, but first, let's explore the challenges they are working hard to avoid. What occurred in previous World Cups before the 2018 event in Russia? Russia constructed 9 new stadiums and made improvements to 3 existing venues. While it is difficult to determine the exact cost, this undertaking accounted for a significant portion of the $16 billion that Russia spent on the entire tournament. After the World Cup concluded, Russia decided to lease these stadiums to domestic football teams. This decision seemed logical since the stadiums were designed for hosting matches, and ticket sales were expected to contribute to covering the operational expenses. However, this strategy failed as Russia's teams lacked substantial support, struggling to sell even half of the available tickets. For instance, the Olympic Stadium in Sochi, where the local team plays, had an average attendance of only 6,000 fans, representing a mere 15% of the stadium's total capacity. Such low turnouts made it challenging to cover the ongoing costs, resulting in the stadiums becoming financial liabilities that taxpayers had to bear. These facilities have been criticized as wasteful and burdensome, often referred to as expensive and pointless white elephants. Approximately a year after the World Cup, the Kaliningrad Stadium started sinking into a swamp, requiring nearly $1 million to salvage it. From a financial perspective, it might have been more sensible to let the stadium collapse. Out of Russia's 9 new stadiums, only one, the Kazan Arena, has found success in its post-World Cup phase. It has been repurposed as a versatile venue, hosting not just football matches, but also concerts, car shows, and fashion events. Additionally, it has been equipped with restaurants, bars, and hotel rooms. Perhaps this approach of transforming the stadium into something entirely new holds the key to long-term success. However, it remains to be seen if other countries have followed a similar path. Russia hosted the World Cup 40 years after Brazil. In Brazil, most of the stadiums used for the event have a similar story. Although Brazil is a passionate footballing nation, its stadiums are too large to be filled. One notable example is the Amazonia Arena in the remote city of Manaus, which has a capacity of 40,000 people but only attracts crowds of around 1,000. Consequently, it is incurring significant financial losses of over $200,000 per month. In a desperate attempt to cover costs, another World Cup stadium, Estadio Nacional, has been repurposed as a bus shelter. Similarly, Arena das Dunas is trying to generate income by hosting weddings and children's parties. Considering that some of these stadiums only hosted 4 World Cup matches, one may question whether it was all worth it for just 6 hours of football. Brazilian taxpayers, a quarter of whom live in poverty, believe their taxes would be better spent elsewhere. In 2015, Brazilian reporter Jose Cruz summed it up by stating that Brazil did not benefit from any World Cup legacy, except for the inherited debts. In contrast, South Africa, which hosted the World Cup 4 years prior, has fared slightly better with its stadiums than Russia and Brazil. The Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban now serves as a multipurpose venue. hosting various events and music concerts. Visitors can even ride a sky car to the top of the central arch and experience bungee jumping. However, not all of South Africa's stadiums have been successful. The Cape Town Stadium, boasting 65,000 seats, has never turned a profit, leading to calls for its demolition. Having observed the issues faced by previous World Cup hosts, Qatar is determined to avoid similar mistakes. Their bid was marred by controversy, with nearly 30 FIFA officials being forced to step down due to evidence of corruption and bribery. Furthermore, Amnesty International reported serious exploitation of migrant workers in 2013, with many being underpaid or unpaid and subjected to hazardous working conditions. A 2021 investigative report by The Guardian estimated that over 6,000 workers had died in Qatar since their World Cup bid. Consequently, these incidents have significantly damaged Qatar's global reputation. However, their plans to manage the World Cup stadiums once the tournament concludes have not faced criticism. Regarding the topic of Qatar's plans for World Cup stadiums, it would seem illogical for a small country like Qatar to have 8 massive stadiums. To put it in perspective, Qatar has a population of 400,000 Qatari citizens, while the stadiums have a combined capacity of 420,000. Comparatively, Russia, with a population of 140 million, and Brazil, with a population of 220 million, struggle to fill their World Cup stadiums. Considering this, Qatar doesn't aim to fill the stadiums, but rather intends to transform them. The 2 largest stadiums, Lusail and Al Bayt, will undergo significant changes and become modern, multi-purpose venues. Lusail Stadium will see most of its seats removed to make space for shops, cafes, a school, a health clinic, and potentially even apartments. Similarly, Al Bayt will be transformed into a 5-star hotel, a shopping mall, and a hospital. While the pitch will remain at the center, it will mainly be utilized for community events rather than professional football matches. 3 additional stadiums, Ahmad bin Ali, Al Janab, and Al Tumama, will continue to be used for football matches, but after substantial downsizing. Their capacities will be reduced from 45,000 to 20,000 by removing temporary seating. This downsizing strategy was previously employed in Russia, with temporary stands added to the end of the Ekaterinburg Central Stadium. Furthermore, Qatar plans to donate temporary seating to other countries seeking to enhance their sporting infrastructure. The downsized 20,000-seat stadiums might struggle to reach full capacity since the Qatari Football League sometimes attracts crowds as small as a few hundred people. However, there is also Stadium 974, which is the most innovative solution of all. This stadium is entirely temporary and constructed from 974 recycled shipping containers. It can be fully dismantled and rebuilt elsewhere. This groundbreaking approach to sporting infrastructure could be adopted by future World Cups, eliminating the need for constructing new stadiums in each host country. Qatar also intends to utilize its World Cup infrastructure for future events. This approach is similar to what Brazil did in 2016 when they hosted the Summer Olympics and repurposed 5 of their former World Cup stadiums. In 2024, Qatar will host the Asian Cup, an international football tournament for teams in Asia and Oceania. They also plan to host the 2030 Asian Games and an international athletics tournament with more participants than the Olympics. In both cases, Qatar aims to maximize the reuse of its World Cup infrastructure, ensuring that these projects do not go to waste. Additionally, they have expressed interest in hosting the Olympics potentially as early as 2036. Only time will reveal the success of these plans, but one of them is already underway. After hosting a match between Brazil and South Korea on December 5th, the deconstruction of Stadium 974 commenced. There are rumors that the pieces of the stadium will be shipped to Uruguay, who are hoping to host the 2030 World Cup. We'll see you in the next video.